session chair, Dr. Mohan Manasal, sir. Thank you.
Anyone can help me with it, or I can be as loud as it needs to be.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Um, I think it's quite unconventional. We're starting like 1 or 2 minutes ahead of the time. That's good because session like this always takes time to start. I think I can congratulate Sanem on this because managing time is really important, crucial. So good morning, everyone, and I would like to invite you all to a very important session today for the breakout session 5, which is energy security, greenwood and environment, and which is very much crucial at this moment that we have seen escalating problems in the world, in the current world, that are actually regarding the energy. We see politics how people are captured by the power, superpower, and how the world is escalating. And it's all about, we can see energy, and it actually escalates some other issues. And on top of that, we see climate change. So if we can frame it from the global context, we have just above 1.52 degrees centigrade, which is beyond the pre-segment threshold that we set. And again, we see the hunger for the development and growth is I think more than any time ever, and we see the countries are competing for the growth. And what happens actually, these growth are associated with energy, and that also escalate the demands for the energy and escalate other tensions that we see in the global context. And on top of that, everything escalate climate change, and that's why we saw some resolution back in COP28 in Dubai, that the world set we must triple the renewable energy and doubling the energy efficiency. And if we come back to countries like Bangladesh and other global south, the things are more complex because there once time the global north they developed with exploiting the global south or the whole world in terms of carbon budget and everything. We will question that much. But this is our time for economic growth and development, even though countries like Bangladesh, we have 0.45% of our emission level. But being a good earthlings, we have to think about the earth because of the carbon emission. So that actually set the limitations, even though we strive for economic growth. And we have enough quota for our carbon, if you see from the justice lens. But we have to limit ourselves. So the main concept is energy transition, but the problem is how do you do so? We must need to be inclusive, and we need to consider about the environmental sustainability, and we must balance between the development, economic growth, and the environment. That's the critical question, and that needs to be addressed. And that comes out with different questions how do you balance growth, maintaining the environmental sustainability, and how do you transition, linking up people, inclusivity, and who are most vulnerable. And the third is and how do you govern, how the trade looks like, and how do you finance, the top of everything, who's going to finance for the energy transition? How do we manage the trajectory of our development? I think that's the very questions, and we're very lucky that there will be 4 papers today presented and discussing with this, even from the human behavior in energy efficiency to the governance, how to adopt the renewable energy, and finance, how to finance the energy transition. These all will be discussed today, and we have 4 papers, and authors are here. I think 1 paper will be presented online from Beijing or China, I would say, from China. So if I can slightly introduce the papers, 1 paper discussed on the behavioral interventions, showing how even small nudges can influence energy efficiency at the household level. Another paper is on the governance quality that influence renewable energy adoption. And another paper will be presented on trade environment nexus in Bangladesh, reminding us how the real tensions between economic expansion and environmental outcomes. And another one is on climate finance and energy justice, which brings in the critical dimensions of equity and fairness in the energy transition. definitely these are the research paper, and it takes time to present as a whole. But I would say some rules for the presenters. It's not good to say, but I would request to adhere on this. Each presenter will have 10 minutes, and I think at 8 minutes there will be some notification, and with the notification you'll have only 2 minutes to conclude. I know it's a very difficult task, but I would request so. And then we'll have a 15-minute discussion on the papers. We have Farhan Khan to discuss on the papers, on the four papers we're discussing, and then the floor will be open for questions from the side, and then there'll be time for me as well as a and chair. I will shed some light on this. So I think let's begin with our papers. So first. Yeah. So, but the first paper would be on the white nudges count for household cooking efficiency, and this paper represented by Mr. Navin. He's from our friend from Nepal. So this paper explores behavioral interventions in energy use. The floor is yours, Navin.
Thank you so much. Can I stand up? Oh. Thank you so much. Good morning, all. Thank you, Sanim, for this excellent opportunity to present one of my paper here. Thank you, Salim, Professor Salim, Zubair, Mahta, Anjon, the team from Sanim actually. So I may have missed some of the very good names, but whole Sanim team deserve a special appreciation for organizing this excellent conference. Thank you, Chair, for letting me present at the very beginning, so that you will forget at the end, so that I'll not receive so much of comments on my paper. So this is one of the paper actually. It's a microeconomic based. The foundation is microeconomics. So here, we are exploring the effect of noises. Okay, so this is the paper written by me, my colleague Nirmal Rao, and my guru actually is my teacher, Bisumba Pakrel. So let me just give you the context of Nepal. So I know that this hall, half of the hall is Nepali, so this won't be a very new for you, but for rest, if we look at the total energy, the production and consumption scenario in Nepal. The production is the out of total, okay, so including the consumption as a whole, taking into account of the household sector, the business sector, transportation, and everything, agriculture. So most of the energy is coming from the biofuels, okay, and the biomass and fuels actually. The share of hydropower is around 10%. Okay, so if we look at from the production side, and since we do export and import also. So in consumption, for example, our total consumption of electricity stands around 7%. But when we look at the electricity generation in Nepal, then it's almost 100% clean. Okay, so 99.99% is coming from 99% is coming from hydroelectricity, and remaining 1% is coming from solar. Okay. So electricity generation in Nepal itself is a very clean, source. So we are not depending on coal or other fossil fuels to produce that. The another story. Then if we look at, so I'm narrowing down. So if we look at the total energy consumption portfolio of the sectors, then almost 70% is consumed by the household sector. Okay, so remaining is on the business sector. And industry, transportation, agriculture, and so on. But if we look at the household sector, and in household sector, primarily, so we do have, two we need energy for two purposes, two activities. One is cooking, and second one is lighting. So lighting is 100% is coming from electricity. So now we do have that 94% of households have access to grid. And remaining, 3% have standalone system, for example, micro hydro and solar home system. So remaining 1%, they are depending on other sources. So lighting is not issue. Lighting is, almost 100% clean. But when we come to the cooking, story of cooking, then, uh, it's still biomass dependent. Okay, so mainly the firewood. So for example, our recent Nepal Living Standard Survey suggests that almost 50% of households are using the firewood as a primary cooking fuel. Whereas when we come to the electricity, it is less than 1%. But during, these 3 decades or 4 decades, let's say, so we have, electricity has gone up, so our infrastructure has developed. And the policy, focuses also on promoting the, e-cooking, what we call the electricity cooking. Okay. But the progress is not very good. So this is, one of the typical kitchen of the Kathmandu Valley, the urban dwellers. So we do have, mainly we are depending on the LP gas, despite the fact that, we do have now access to the electricity. But e-cooking is not happening. So this is what we have seen in the earlier slide. So this is the gas, and then we do have, gas stoves. And there are many, and sometimes, we do have uncertainties. For example, our recent experience also, for example, they are huge when we do face the supply side constraints. So we are importing, all these gases are imported from India, actually. So we do import from India. Okay, so we do not directly buy from the Middle East over. So our Nepal Oil Corporation will be buying, all these possibilities from the Indian Oil Corporation. So we do have that agreement. And we have also, bad news about gas, like, there are fires, accidents, deaths, and so on. Whereas when we go for the electric cooking, then we do have the evidence that, the e-cooking is better in many sense. For example, it is convenience, it is like safe, and so on. But this is not happening. Okay. And then, when we generally think of, for example, promoting these good things, the renewable energies, e-cooking, okay, which has both health as well as the environmental benefits and so on, then oftentimes something that comes in our mind is the subsidy. Okay, so we have to give subsidy. Like we have to give subsidy to the households, we have to give subsidy to the. There is another, actually very interesting branch of the economics. That is, so let's not go for the subsidy, but let us try to, change the behavior of the decision maker. So this is the literature context or motivation for this study. So let us not, go to the route of this subsidy, but let us try to, put some information. This based on the assumption that actually, the decision makers may not be perfectly rational. This is what have been highlighted in the behavioral economics. So they have many limitations. Okay, so they do have the cognitive limitations. They may not be, very well like calculate the cost and benefits and so on. Okay, so this is so we do have actually, then we do have like 2 questions here. So whether providing some information is really going to help the households to opt for the e-cooking, though I use the term efficiency. Assumption that the e-cooking is actually efficient in thermal sense, in technical sense also. In terms of cost efficiency also there. Okay. And the second one is, if we want to, provide that information, then what type of information is that we should be? That is called, framing issue in the behavioral economics. So, for example, I am giving you some information. So, how you are going to, display the information? Okay. So, for example, these are the examples that is being used in the European Union. So, what they are doing is there are different kind of experiment going on, actually. So, one is, for example, social norms. For example, this is one of the, the rating on the bill. For example, how much energy that I have consumed will be displayed compared to the, average users on my society, for example. And then they are going to give you the smiley face there, okay, or sad face, depending on, if you are using like more energy compared to, my neighborhood, then they will be, showing the sad face here. Or they are going to, what is your energy use, and then, so these are, some of the examples of the knowledge that is being experimented especially in Europe. In Nepal also, actually, though it's not a very organized thing, but here you can see, like, they are also promoting, kind of thing through the bill. For example, what it is saying here is that please use the LED bulbs, okay? So that is going to, save your energy. And earlier, when we had, like, if you go through the history of Nepal, then we used to have like 18 hours of load shedding, okay, power cut, actually. So that's not, very far. It's very recent from 2018, I guess. So then, we like got that power cut. Okay, so we had uh, we do have no scheduled power cut these days. And earlier, back in that time, then what the Nepal Electricity Authority used to do is, they used to say that, please save the electricity. Okay, so it was displayed on that bill. Okay, so this is the experimental design that we have done. So we did this experiment on the households in Kathmandu Valley. So I'm not going to all these details. But what we have done is we have three groups actually. One group, control group, what we are saying. The control group were, treated with this information, I mean, given with this information where you do have the, supply side consideration, so the price and so on. And this is the cost. And in treatment one, what we have done is we have just, added this. So for example, if you are using the LP gas, then how much expenditure that you are going to make in a typical month. And if you instead use the electricity, or you use the, for example, the induction cooktop, then how much, cost that you are bearing, your expenses will be. And treatment two is just, we have just calculated the difference and just provided the savings here. Okay, so this is just the difference of these, cost of cooking on gas minus, the cost of cooking on electricity. So this is something that you are actually, you are saving. So I'll conclude actually.
That's good.
So these are, three groups. So our question is whether, providing the information, for example, that we have seen in earlier, example, and as well as on the literature. So for example, if we are providing, something like this information in the bill, then, whether that is going to matter or not, first. And second one is which one that we should be, giving information, whether it will be the expenditure or the savings. And then, I created the so I'm not going to show all these, results. Yes, but I'll take 1 minute. So, for example, this model one is just the, wellness estimate. Since it is a randomized control trial, so we have checked the, balance of attributes. So socioeconomic characteristics are balanced across the different groups. So compared to the control group, if we provide the cost, the annual expenses, then they are going to use 10% more time on the induction cooktop. Okay, so they will be using more electricity. Whereas, if we provide the saving information, then they are going to have, 7% higher. And this is the full model combining, control versus treatment one plus treatment two. So these are my, implications. Yes, noise matters. First thing. And second, if we have to, frame, like, the question of if we want to print something on the bill, then it's better to print the cost, okay, instead of saving. Okay, so if, for example, you have spent it this much on
Thank you, sir.
and so on. So thank you so much.
For many of us, time is money, but for a speaker, time is enemy. So we heard from Mr. Navid Adhikari that he is the assistant professor from University in Nepal. So I'm now going to request our second speaker to talk about governance, carbon emission, and renewable energy consumption. And we have Ms. Fahima, who is a master student. The floor is yours, Fahima. It takes me.
for it, updated version of what I said to just episode and
এটা সাবমিট করছেন ওটাই
Close your eyes for just 3 seconds. Imagine you wake up tomorrow, no fan, no light, no electricity, and even no tea from the stove. That imagined darkness is the daily reality for nearly 700 million people on this planet. And for the rest of us, one war, one natural disaster, and one cyclone away from the same darkness. This is 2026, and renewable energy is no longer an environmental slogan. It is survival. Good morning, everyone. I am Fahima from Maulana Bashani Science and Technology University. Today, I'm going to present our research work titled Governance, Carbon Emissions, and Renewable Energy Consumption, Evidence from RCEP Countries. Before I go in details, let me define 4 basic key concepts. Basic key components. First, renewable energy. Energy from solar, water, biomass, and wind. It means renewable energy never runs out. Then, governance. According to the World Bank, traditions and institutions by which authority is exercised. It means how well a country is run out. It includes political stability, regulatory quality, control of corruption. Then carbon emission. It means the release of greenhouse gases created by human activities like urbanization, fossil fuel, industry, and transportation. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership covers 30% of the global GDP and 1% of the population. It is the largest free trade bloc in this world. Based on the background, this study addresses 3. First, to examine the relationship between governance and renewable energy consumption. Second, to explore the relationship between carbon dioxide emissions and renewable energy consumption in RCEP countries, and identify the key barriers to renewable energy consumption. This study applied institutional theory. It suggests that better rules create better results. Strong governance leads to higher renewable energy adoption, and countries with lower dioxide emissions to positive institutional role in sustainable development. Several studies used the minor focus on governance indicators and RCEP countries. Our study tried to fill the gap. We applied panel data of 15 RCEP countries. Here, dependent variable is renewable energy consumption. Explanatory variables are governance and carbon emissions. Other control variables are FDI, methane emissions, trade, openness, and urbanization. All the variables are collected from WDI. Our study covers 4 steps mainly. At first, we apply unit root test, then co-integration, FMOLS, cold OLS, and dynamic OLS. Last, we test robustness. This is the core findings of our study. This table shows that the coefficient of governance is positive and statistically significant. The coefficients are 0.17, 7.97, 0.30, and 13.86. That means 1 unit increase in renewable energy, sorry, 1 unit increase in governance leads to increases renewable energy approximately by 9%. On the other hand, carbon dioxide emission and renewable energy consumption are reversely related. We suggest that if 1% increase in carbon dioxide emission discourages to uses the renewable energy. Moreover, FDI increases renewable energy consumption, but massive emission, trade openness, and urbanization reduces renewable energy consumption. We further applied co-integration test. The Petroni and Cow test confirms that there is a long-run relationship exists between governance, carbon dioxide emission, and renewable energy consumption. All the variables are statistically significant.
We have 4 minutes left.
Here, we first apply pooled OLS, then FM OLS, and dynamic OLS. The coefficient of governance shows that it's positively related to renewable energy consumption. If a country have better governance leads to better renewable energy adoption. Their anti-corruption, political stability, government effectiveness are suitable. But carbon dioxide emission reduction the renewable energy adoption. That means we highly dependent on fossil fuel that cuts the renewable energy adoption. FDI encourages to use renewable energy consumption, where methane emission, trade volume, and urbanization reduces renewable energy consumption. Further, we applied CCR model to check the robustness. But the coefficient and standard error are similar, those obtained from FMOLS and dynamic OLS with minor differences. This also suggests that there is a long-run elasticities among the variables, and all the variables are statistically significant. The study main findings are governance is positively impacted by renewable energy consumption in RCEP countries, while carbon dioxide emission has negative impact on it, and the long-run elasticities exist among the variables. The study recommended that at first encourages strict carbon dioxide emissions, then improve the quality of governance. That means all the indicators of governance must be improved. Finally, public awareness can be encouraged through training and education programs. The study has some limitation. We only use micro-level data and only renewable energy consumption. So I suggest that future study can use different types of country and different category of renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation with lots of data and analysis with statistical rigor. So I'll now request to our third speaker to present on the impact of trade on carbon dioxide emission in Bangladesh. Mr. Rajiv, the floor is yours.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, giving me for an opportunity to present my paper. I'm M.P. Rajiv. Currently, I'm working as a research associate at SANEM. The title of my study is that the title of my study is that the impact on carbon dioxide emission in Bangladesh. Though Bangladesh has made significant progress in economic development and growth, there are concerns associated with the quality of economic growth, with institutional capacity and environmental degradation. RNG is the major backbone of our economy. According to the data of export statistics 2024 to 2025, the share of RNG export in total export earning was 81.49%, but it is the largest contributor of CO2 emission in Bangladesh. According to the AP 150 of the Green Climate Fund, Bangladesh has fetched an average 8% growth of carbon dioxide emission over the last decades. And is the largest industrial contributor to CO2 emission, accounting for 15% of total CO2 emissions, followed by the textile industry at 12.20%. But a little bit further. Okay, thank you. So, Ryan and others found that 1% increase in economic growth leads to 0.13%.
We can keep it here.
0.13% decrease in CO2 emission. Bishesh and others found that the ready-made garment sector contributes. Ready-made garment sector contributes approximately 32.2% of the total greenhouse gas emission in Bangladesh, while the textile in the processing sector contributes 67.8%. No research paper in Bangladesh shown that the iron export affected CO2 emission in Bangladesh. So on the other hand, trade openness applies to the degree to which an economy is open to trade across the countries in the world. Different literature review has found that trade openness has both positive and negative impact on the CO2 emission in the world. Allen found that 1% increase in trade openness leads to 0.3% decrease in CO2 emission in Nigeria. On the other hand, Jointo Kumar and others found that there is a positive association between trade openness and CO2 emission in India. One and Chang found that trade openness has both a positive and negative impact on CO2 emission. It has a positive impact on CO2 emission for low-income countries, but it has a negative impact on CO2 emission for lower-income, high-income, and middle-income countries. Economic complexity index is a matrix which measures the ability of an economy to produce a complex good. If higher ECI comes from more complex good, more diversified and advanced industrial base, which are basically based on renewable energy, then increasing ECI leads to decrease in the CO2 emission. On the other hand, if higher ECI comes from more highly energy intensive industry which rely on non-renewable energy, then increase in ECI will increase the CO2 emission. So none of the research papers so far in Bangladesh have simultaneously incorporated of these three factors of CO2 emission in Bangladesh. But this paper analyzes the impact of RMG export, trade openness, and ACI on the CO2 emission in Bangladesh over the period 1983 to 2021. So look at the research question. First one is the RMG export positively associated with CO2 emissions? Second one is trade openness negatively related to CO2 emission? And third one is ACI is positively associated with CO2 emission? This one is also better. This model used ERDL model instead of bar model because there is no reverse causality between CO2 emission and RMG export and trade openness and ESA. Look at the ERDL model. So, checking the result of time analysis. Here, RMG, CO2 emission, and trade openness follows a time trend, but ECI is a dependent variable. That is taking the first difference of CO2 emission and trade openness and make them as a dependent variables. Augmented Diffuller test and Filiferon test are applied to test the stationarity in this model. Look at the result of augmented diffuller test. We can found that RNG, sorry to say, ECI carbon dioxide emission and trade openness are not stationary. That's why you take in the first difference of carbon dioxide, trade openness, and ECI and make them as stationary. On the other hand, RNG is stationary, but it follows a time trend. That's why detunning technique was applied on RNG and make it stationary. No, sorry, make it is detunted variable. So same result we can found by using Filiferon test. Look at the result of optimal lag selection criteria. The maximum lag would be 4 in this model. Based on the AIC, Hawkeye and SBIC criteria, the optimal lag would be in this model 3402. Then we again test ERDL bound test by using F76 to check the long run relationships among the variables. So we can found that F76 is greater than the lower bound and upper bound of the critical value at 1%, 5%, and 10% level of significance. We can conclude that there is a co-integration exists in this model. Look at the result of the ERDL models. Firstly, we look at the result of the in the long run. We can find that 1% increase in RNG exports leads to 0.02% increase in the CO2 emission in the significant. On the other hand, 1% increase in trade openness leads to 0.11% decrease in CO2 emission in the long run, which is also statistically significant. And ECI has a negative effect on the CO2 emission, but in the long run, but it is which is not statistically significant. Look at the short-term result. Pascal of the carbon dioxide emission positively affect current level of CO2 emission. And on the other hand, pass fail of the RNG export and economic complexity index have both positively and negatively affected the current level of CO2 emission. A different diagnostic test was applied to check the stability of the model. So we can found that there is a no heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation, and no specification error in this model, and the error terms follows a normalization. Lastly, we can check the stability of the long-run estimate in this model. That's why we can perform Coulomb and Coulomb square test. We can find that plotted ADM model is within the bound of 5% level of significance, and it indicates that the long-run coefficient are stable. Based on result, we can draw some policy recommendations. Some policy recommendation for RNG industry: promote green technology in the RNG industry, providing incentives such as tax package, subsidies for RNG industry to invest in energy efficient machinery, renewable energy, and introduce green carbon tariff to discourage CO2 emission, rise environmental awareness and cooperation among the respective stakeholders. Some policy recommendation for trade liberalization. We need Bangladesh trade policy need to be revised and reformed. Reduce parent tariffs, negotiate trade agreement that include environmental safeguard, foster export of environmentally friendly goods and services. Some policy recommendation for ECI: strengthening economic complexity index to support green economy, address historical emission and the persistence, focus on environmental governance and awareness, foster regional and global partnerships. Thank you for review.
Thanks, Mr. Rajit. And this is Jesse from Sunny. Thank you for your presentation. So is the Zoom link okay? Because like now we're gonna move to the online presentation. So we have had three presentations already, and this is the most interesting part. Energy transition is needed, but who is gonna fund the climate finance? And if you consider climate justice, it's really important to discuss about the finance part. And for this, we have a wonderful paper to be presented by Mr. Mainuddin, as a PhD student at the School of Economics, Beijing Institute of Technology, China. He's going to present from online. Mr. Mainuddin, the audience is yours. Thank you. Did you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Mr. Mainuddin, we're waiting for you to come in.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Have some sort of technical difficulties, which is a conference.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we see you speaking.
Yeah, I have shared my
Please
left
allow us some
screen.
time to fix the problem.
Can you see my left of screen?
You sincere apologies to the technical glitches.
I have shared my left of.
Hello. Will you please come in?
Yes, sir. Can you see my left of screen? I have shared my slides.
We're fixing the problem and we'll verify you as soon as it's solved. Could you please raise your hands so that we can understand you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Take this. Let me show. Connect. Just a little bit, we can hear.
Hello.
Yes. Can you hear me? I can hear you, sir.
Yes, we can now hear you, but okay.
What about now?
Yes, the problem is not as you end, so we're solving it from our end.
So can you see my left of screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Should I start?
Just give us.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can use this.
Okay, we can use the microphone here. Okay. So, man, please start.
Okay. Please confirm me if you can see my slides.
Yes,
Thank you. So, hello everyone. This is Mainuddin. I'm a PhD student in this School of Economics from Beijing Institute of Technology, China. First of all, I would like to thank you, Sanim, for organizing such a wonderful conference. And I would like to present my paper, Climate Finance as a Catalyst for Energy Justice and Accelerating Green Growth. So here the table of content I would like to present during my presentation. So background of the study. So green growth, this is most of the countries, they are looking for it. The only growth is not enough for the future sustainability. So green growth is there should be justice among the nation. to mechanism in growth. So this study fills the gap by using data from 61 countries, which includes developed and developing countries. For doing so, we have proposed three hypotheses. The first one is justice may improve green growth, and second one is justice may improve green growth by improving energy structure and reducing energy security risk and increasing productive capacity. And third one is the climate finance may strengthen the relationship between energy justice and green growth. Here is the study framework. The way we have completed our study, it shows in the framework. So data for the analysis, we have used data from 2010 to 2023 for 61 countries. And most of the data are collected from WDI, and some of the variables, especially the dependent and independent variables, I mean, green growth and energy justice calculated, like green growth calculated as a index from different indicators. And same case for the energy justice, it is calculated from the several indicators. For models, we have baseline for to prove the hypothesis one, we have baseline model, and for mediating effect analysis following model 2 and 3. I don't want to explain these things because it will consume my time. And for moderating effect models, we have equation or model 4. So estimation strategy, I would like to discuss this thing. So here, the estimation we have began with the several preliminary tests, which includes multi-quantity test, cross-sectional dependency test, slope homogeneity test, unit root test, and panel co-integration to identify the characteristics of the data. And then we go for the machine learning regularization technique to identify the key predictors of grain growth. And then we go for the inferential machine learning models to identify the marginal effect between the variables. And then we go for robustness, alternative machine learning method, and also traditional econometric method. And we go for the endogeneity analysis, and we confirm the results from the. Here is the results. The first table 2 and 3 shows the descriptive statistics and multi-quantity test results, and other results I have not included here. These are available in the full paper. So from the multi-quantity result, there is no serial multi-quantity among the variables. Variable selection from three different regularization model, and all of the model, they choose the same set of predictors for the green growth. Here is the findings from the baseline model, which indicates that energy justice increase green growth, and which is confirmed also the hypothesis 1. This is the results from the robustness and endogeneity analysis. They confirm the results similar. They show the similar results with the baseline models. Sorry, there is an issue. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can. We can hear you.
Okay. Here's the results of the mechanism analysis. We have three hypotheses for the mechanism analysis. That is, one is the result showing that the energy justice reduce fossil fuel dependency, which means that it improves structural energy structure of the country and ultimately improves the green growth, and also it reduces the energy security risk to improve green growth, and also identified that energy justice improve green growth by
4 minutes left.
sorry
4 minutes left.
okay thank you. It also shows that energy justice improve green growth by increasing productive capacity of the countries. For moderating effect analysis, we identified that green climate finance increased the positive effect of energy justice on green growth. In the heterogeneity analysis, we identified that the effect of energy justice on green growth is stronger in the countries who are the energy importer, and also who are low energy consuming, and who are in higher growth. In conclusion, I would like to conclude our paper, that is energy justice shows it actually enhanced green growth, and it enhanced green growth by promoting energy structure and reducing energy security risk and enhancing productive capacity. And also climate finance provides the financial resource necessary to overcome the barriers to clean energy development, and also it support energy justice to improve green growth. And also in the heterogeneity analysis, it shows that effect of energy justice is stronger in the countries who are energy importer and low energy consuming countries, and in the high growth economies. For policy implication, we have suggested few policies for the policymakers. First of all, the institutionalize the energy justice, especially the principles of energy justice. There are distributive justice, restorative justice, and procedural justice. And also there should be increase in the policy productive capacity. And also, since energy justice improve the green growth by improving energy security risks, so the authority should focus on to maintain the energy justice. And also climate finance, as it is support to it supports energy justice for increasing green growth. So for climate finance, there should be regulation for the organizations who are involved with these activities or related to energy. And also for the there should be customized policy for the countries who are energy importer, and who are consuming low energy, and who are having higher growth. Thank you so much for your patience and hearing. Any suggestion and queries are appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation. I think there are good discussions. Afterwards, we will pick up suggestions and we'll open up the floor for comments. So until then, we expect your patience. Thank you for your patience to connecting us. So I'm now going to request Mr. Farhan Khan to discuss on the 4 papers. So Farhan Khan, over to you.
Thank you, sir. So good morning, everyone. All the presentations are nice. Thanks to the presenters. Let's talk about one by one. So the first paper, why do not discount for household cooking chassis from Nepal. It actually shows the energy efficiency gap by using RCTs. And the finding shows that loss free, that is annual cost, is more effective than the savings, I believe. The paper actually uses two-stage sampling strategy, which is very good, I believe, and it actually captures the geographic representation in your paper. Uh, you guys define energy efficiency as solely time spent on induction stoves, which is a direct proxy, as the paper states, efficiency and environmental impact. That's cool. However, I think there are other indices that you can try. For example, in energy economics randomized control trial literatures, we have energy displacement ratios, realized versus predicted savings gap, energy intensity for cooking, or energy literature for ERFL from financial perspective or from a technological perspective. Uh, I was hoping to see more explanation on the fuel stacking realities. The hypothetical scenario was 60 minutes. However, how the nudges actually work on the real life, that would have been much more interesting to see. I hope this will be in the paper when it is published. Uh, Again, the paper actually uses the OLS, which is the standard protocol in randomized control trials. Uh, However, I was looking some literatures and I found a paper recently published, which is, I believe, Lean 2025. They actually introduced a conditional quantile treatment effect regression, which can actually show the distributional effects at different quantiles, for example, 25, 30, 75% of us. I believe if you can do this will make your paper really amazing, and this will help the policymakers to understand whether the nudges are actually helping low-hanging fruit or they're actually converting heavy LPG users from LPG to cooking stoves, electric cooking stoves. Last one, authors say that real-world infrastructural constraints is a major setback. I agree with that, and also with that, I argue that institutional dynamics actually plays a very key role, because in our South Asian countries, we have a common trait, which is known as decentralized framework within a centralized system. This problem actually hindered a lot of project hindrances, improvements. We haven't seen like many projects in South Asian countries because of this system. So I believe if you can bring up the policy of institutional dynamics in Nepal, that would be nice. Beyond that, it's a very good paper. I enjoyed the reading. The next paper, governance, carbon emission, renewable energy, and consumption in RCEP. It's a very good paper. Novelty is good. It uses multiple estimators, very robust estimators, I would say. However, you're saying the paper has novelty. I agree with that. Our countries, we haven't seen such papers. I would suggest that the paper, you increase the visualization on the novelty, I mean, more explicitly with more background. In the paper, theoretical and conceptual framework is partially aligned with the econometric model. Okay, the institutional framework goes well with the governance. However, it does not carry on with the estimated model you are using. So I would suggest you go from the energy demand theoretical model, from either production or consumption side optimization. You can find that EC is a function of price and quantity, and then bring up the institutional dynamics and other macroeconomic variables. This will make the paper very good, very happy. The RCEP groups actually have different countries, I mean, developing, developed. So I would suggest, Raima, we should do a subgroup analysis. I mean, dividing the samples into two, developing, develop, and this will create a heterogeneous analysis, and it will give you a more robust policy, and it's super publish it. Yes, I'd say the estimations are very good, robust techniques. However, one drawback of dualist, FMLS, or canonical is that they don't combine the cross-sectional averages. So sometimes what happens is that you you get the cross-sectional dependence in your residuals, and if that is in your residuals, you will get an inconsistent result, or your p-values will be very high, very low, your r-square will be very high. I would suggest what you do is check the residuals for cross-sectional dependency based on test. If it's okay, fine. If it's not, go for CSDL, cross-sectional distributed lag, or CSARDL, cross-sectional distributed ARDL. Explanations are good. However, I think it's a little more on the mechanical side, a little more intuitive. Things will be good. Policies are okay, but still generic. I would suggest specific regulations. And when I was reading your paper, I saw some of the sentences which are, I think, should be cited. There are seminal papers you have taken some citations. I think you should cite them. There are good citations there. This is it. It's a good paper. The third one, the impact of trade on CO2 emission in Bangladesh. It actually uses autoregressive distributed lag model and analyzes the nexus between RNG trade and CO2 emission. And it says that the RNG export drives emission upward. Timely paper. This type of paper is important for upcoming events in Bangladesh for our trade policies as we're moving forward to LDC graduation. Econometrically, Rajiv, this is a good one. However, I would say that you use the dynamic ARDL instead of ARDL. Because in ARDL, we have some things that we cannot control. In dynamic ARDL, we can control those lag specific errors. And it will give you some counterfactual analysis as well. I think the insignificance of ECR in the long run is because of Bangladesh is still too concentrated on low complexity goods. I think you can explain it a little bit more in your paper. And of course, policies are okay, but what about enabling environments? You need to discuss some enabling environments to go with it. So the last paper, it's a very big paper. When I saw the paper, when I sent it to me, it was 54-page long paper. I asked myself, boy, you need a pack of snacks from the abstract to the appendices, because at least you will need 2 scissors to cover it. Jokes apart, it's a very good paper. This is one of a kind paper that actually combine energy justice, climate finance, and green growth. In literature, what we see is them in separate ways. That's why it's a very good paper. Analysis is good. It has a good flow. One thing, it's a very interesting result. It actually shows that long GDP and domestic credit have negative impact on green growth. Authors should explain this, elaborate it in great detail. In my opinion, I believe it's coming from the Brown bias or something else. I don't know, but you should explain it. Similarly, it shows that in exporting countries, energy exporting countries, the relationship is something insignificant. Again, a deeper dive in this is needed because it might come from resource curse or political resistance. So if you can explain those things, it will enrich the heterogeneity analysis that you're trying to do. The paper uses ML methods, machine learning methods, and there's a robust, no doubt. I believe the authors have perfectly calibrated the ML models to understand, or address the cross-sectional dependency, because by default, they do not control the cross-sectional dependence. So I would recommend that if it's not done, please do. And I also see that you have used cross-sectional dependency tests, second generation cross-sectional dependency tests, flow homogeneities, conjugations. When I saw that, I was hoping that you'll be using some second generation heterogeneous estimators. but you use FGLS and ECSC, but it's good. It can control cross-sectional dependency. However, the results shows that it has slope homogeneity, right? So betas are actually specific, individual specific, but ESC or FGLS do not count for heterogeneity, at least as per seminal papers of the proponents. And also, one note for the author, please check it whether your ECSC results are cross-sectional dependent free, because you have time dimension which is less than the n, that means cross sections. What happens is that if there's too many cross sections and lower time dimension, the covariance matrix becomes very unstable and goes near to singular matrix. And the situation aggravates. Your cross-sectional dependency becomes more higher and higher. And as a result, you get a biased result. I'm saying this because your cross-sectional dependence shows highly significant results. That means there are global shocks. So please check it. And policies, very good, but I would suggest some heterogeneity specific policies would be included. That would be very nice. But beyond that, it's a very good paper, very good topic, very good novelty. I hope this paper is published. And again, all the papers are very good. I enjoyed reading your paper. I enjoyed reading all the citations and seeing your presentations. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for your wonderful, discussion. I would say it takes a lot of strides and patience and hard work to complete a paper. And again, it takes a lot of, patience to review page by page and come up with such, rigor, discussion points. But although we have seen praises, but there were lots of howevers and buts. So as a chair, I'm going to take a little bit of freedom to give the authors a little chance to comment over the discussion. There might be some points they want to go away or go through, like say some sort of rebuttal kind of thing. So just 1.5 minutes for each of the authors to comment on the discussions. Maybe you have different thoughts. Maybe on the points he raises, you have limitations to address these points. I think without that, it is not be justified. So each of authors will have 1.5 minutes most, because this is the chance. This is not like it was not planned. So please be on time. Thank you. So I would request to Mr. Navin for us to respond.
Thank you so much. Very nice comments, Farhanji. Actually, yes, we have also admitted that we have defined the energy efficiency very narrow in a very narrow sense. Okay, so we are looking at the economic efficiency aspect, but not we are really looking at the technical efficiency part. So this is the limitation of our study. So I'll mention, because the experiment has already been done, and so we cannot change that. But to give you the broader picture, actually, we have done so many experiments. It's a part of, this is one of the experiments that we have conducted. So, for example, we have done on the supply side constraints and social norms, whether displaying, the induction cooktop with a very famous model of Nepal is going to, that's called hot behavior. Okay, social norms, hot behavior. So we have done actually, series of experiments. So this is one of the things. Second, we do have limitations, since we do have some eligibility criteria on doing experiment. Though initially we targeted like 900 households, but our eligibility criteria who are planning to buy the induction cooktops in near future. Okay, so 33% have already bought, so they are ineligible and so on. So we do have that power is limited there, so number of observations. Provided that our number, the number of observations is going to support this conditional quintile, then of course we'll be taking care of that. Earlier in my model, in our model, actually, we did the conditional logic because of the ordered logic, actually, because of the limitations on the variations of the outcome, the combinations, how much they are going to spend time on, LPG and vis-a-vis electricity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
I know there are a lot more clarification to make, but thank you for your comments. Over to you.
At first, I want to give thank you, Samuel, to organize a great conference. And I'm so much pleased to attend at this conference. And I get renewable energy and climate change. And I want to thank you, Chair, Sir, and audiences. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Raji.
Thank you, Farhan, for your great comments. I have a plan to perform constant analysis of these research papers. So when I will use dynamic data models and since in terms of recent Bangladesh performance is very low. I think there is no variation in these models in the data. Sorry to say in the data. That's why ECI may be insignificant in the long run. So I have in further words, I have a plan to work on this. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. It's now time for Mr. Mahiruddin to comment on the discussion or any rebuttal anything to come in.
Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? Hello.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you. Hello, sir. Hello.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hello, sir. I can hear
I
you.
think you can answer when after the question and answer session, so you can.
Hello, sir. I can't hear you.
So please come in and comment and ask questions to the researchers. This is an ample opportunity to ask and learn. And of course, you can also provide feedback to the research that is shown. So I'm just opening the floor to you. So please introduce yourself and ask the question. Anyone from the audience? Anyone? I think audience are Yes, please come. It's like it sounds not like a formal, like we take some jokes and we try to be as interactive as we can. So I think at the end it's your participation time now. So please come in. Anyone? If not, then I have lots of questions in my mind, so I can utilize the time to the authors. So I think anyone? No, I'm not going to provocate anyone. That's not even be justified. So okay, there are 4 papers, and it's really important and significantly, carved for the real time needs. And if I may ask the question, I'm not going to indicate any of the authors. You can come in based on your choice. So we have discussed the governance. So How do governance, trade, and finance translate into just energy transition? So, any of the authors, if you can come in.
Let's hear all four questions and then.
Okay, so do you want to come in for this question?
Governance, yes, she would be better, I think. Yes, but I can also
feel
come in,
free,
but let's hear,
or you can just just ignore. No problem, no pressure. Okay, let me share another question.
Yes,
Okay.
let's hear all of your four
Okay.
questions and then can.
We have also questions from the export related energy as a trade. So how can Bangladesh balance export growth with environmental sustainability? That's the question number two. And what are the most actionable policy levers? And I can carve one question for you, for sure, like, specifically on the notice, because like more often when we discuss the just energy transition, we talks about the big corporates, like, big industries, and we also have seen some of the research is focusing on trade industries, but more often uh, if you consider the justice part, the community, the people, specifically the vulnerable community, is left behind. And from your paper, I've seen that you have included the community in the very daily necessities, like cookings. That actually really important. So, how this can be, framed into the policy to, maintaining their rights and justice over the energy, because like it's at the end it's not about like only industry, it's about the people, community people. So how can our policy and governance better address their rights to the energy in terms of accessibility and energy security? So I shared four questions on behalf of the audience, so anyone can respond.
So, Bangladesh, your question is how to balance export growth and environmental sustainability. Everyone knows that Bangladesh is highly dependent on fossil fuels. Even though when global conflict arises, we can see that this over dependence exposed. These are very alarming issue for our economy. So Bangladesh needs to transition from non-renewable energy to renewable energy. So Bangladesh is a high potential. So everyone knows that solar is a high potential, but lack of policy recommendations, government initiatives are the main reason for lagging behind for us. Everyone knows that government has a plan. Yesterday, government has a plan to own initiative to develop renewable energy, especially solar land used. So I think Bangladesh has more focused to develop on the renewable energy. So we know that's a lot of barriers behind these transitions. Financial gap is one of them. Another is a policy gap. Also, one of the reasons for lagging behind of renewable transitions. And the compliance variance is another issue for renewable transition. So I think governments as well as private stakeholders come together to make this transition more successful. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chia, for these questions. So I'll just share the Nepalese perspective on the right and justice aspect of the energy actually. So we have seen that the unclean dirty fuels have the implications to the environment as well as to the human health. And who is going to suffer from that is the marginalized communities, the low income group. For example, if we look at the adoption rate of, let's say, clean cooking in my case, then it is on the middle tier. Okay, so it's not really happening at the bottom tier of if I divide these households by the consumption quintiles and so on. So cooking, lights, everything. So these are in Nepal, for example. So light is a right. Okay, so light, you should have the light lighting, electricity for lighting, so that you can have like number of implications. It's not only about human health, but it's also about the education of the kids and so on. So you are studying under the kerosene lamp, or electricity, that is going to matter. So how we have now, I have already told that, in case of I mean, clean energy and lighting, then we do have a very good storage. Okay, so we simply did not rely on the main grid. For example, Nepal Electricity Authority is taking care of these main grids, but we also had, the standalone. For example, solar home system. Then we do have the mini grid. We had actually one dedicated institutions called Alternative Energy Promotion Center, and they were really looking, from that. They were not taking care of, from economics perspective. It's not about the cost and benefits, but it's also about the right. They should have the light, and we should, deliver that even at the bigger cost. So now on lighting, so we do have a very good success story. On cooking, we are also going, but the targeting was not right. So, for example, and second thing, say one is dedicated institution, and second one is right targeting. Okay, so even if we have like disseminated so much of subsidy through the Alternative Energy Promotion Center in Nepal, but there are issues with the targeting, whether right households are actually enjoying those subsidies or not. So first is you need to have the institution, and second one is you need to have the right target. So these are the two messages that I want to discuss here. Quote here, actually.
Thank you. Can you just move into the to our online speaker again? I think it's
Hello, can you hear me?
Did you hear us? Mr. Mahendra?
Yeah, yes, sir, I can hear you.
You can take out that jacket, actually. Yes, here. Yeah.
Just
Hello?
just Mr. Mahendra?
Yeah, yes, sir, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello?
Could you please come in again? We're really sorry that this happening time to time.
Hello? Can you hear me, sir? এখানে সমস্যা হচ্ছে।
Or you take out that. Let's hear from the laptop itself.
হচ্ছে সমস্যা।
Take out the left,
Jack.
check, yeah. Sorry again, Mr. Mahendra, could you please talk to us?
Yes, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Actually, I can hear you, but I don't know why you are not
I
hearing me.
understand, like it's our fault, and our
It's
end.
okay, it's okay, thank you.
You have heard discussion points from Mr. Farman Khan, and we also opened the session for question and answer. I had some questions. So if some of the questions and discussion points actually overlaps with your thoughts, and you want to come in and comment on the discussion points and answer any of the questions, then please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you for some good recommendation to improve my paper. So if the thing you are talking about, the domestic credit to the private sector, that was negative to the green growth. Actually, there may be some reason. For example, if I say most of the countries, the sample we have chosen from them, I think their domesticated to the private sector are not that much environmental friendly, maybe, and they don't have that much regulation to the private sectors to use their finance in a way to which can support the green growth or something like that. That can be one reason, but and another thing you mentioned about energy, why energy importer for energy importer exporter, this result is insignificant. So there are also some can be there are some reason which we can explain here. The one of the reason we can say they're focused mostly for extracting the natural resources, not to go for that much for green growth or something like that. So their concentration should be, I think, on the renewable things, as they are extracting fossil fuel. So it can happen that for the energy exporting countries, they export mostly fossil fuels. So that can be reason the energy justice is not significant for those countries. And energy exporting countries, these are not too many countries, only few countries from our sample, they are energy exporting. And regarding the methodology, you have mentioned about cross-sectional dependence. I would work on it, and you have mentioned about the PCSC and FGLS method. As per according current literature, I find this method, especially PCSC and DKSC and also FGLS, this method can deal with the cross-sectional dependency. But however, based on your comment, I will work on it again to justify use of those models. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahathir, for your wonderful presentation and feedback on the discussion. So I think we're approaching to the end of this, session, and I think it's my time to end and wrap up. So at first, I would like to thank Sanem because, like, they have wonderfully picked four research papers that actually balances with this discussion. Because, like, as you can see, they have addressed communities, like, not just kind of research papers, and also the governance, the key factors. Like, we can talk a lot, but the sense from the government, sense from the policy makers is very crucial. Otherwise, adoption and taking this and implementation of the decision is very, very difficult. And then third paper addresses very key and vital issues specifically for Bangladesh, because like our economy is based on the RNG, and RNG is really, really, consuming the data energy in Bangladesh. And again, I will frame it later, but from the sense of importance, it's really important to trade an RNG for the economy of Bangladesh on the junction of the climate change and climate justice. And fourth paper is on the green gold, green growth that Mr. Mahathir has presented, and it's on the climate change. Because like if we bring the justice part, like we are not responsible, and some other global south countries are not responsible for the transition. Sorry, for the emission. So who is gonna fund for their transition? From that angle, climate finance is really important. So that's why this fourth paper actually kind of balances the discussion on the energy transition talks. So if I may put justice framework to all these papers, like I briefly said before, like why should we engage the communities in the discussion other beyond the discussion of the large industries and in industries? Because like from the mining, for our case, for the case of Bangladesh, mining might not be impacted energy for the energy transition, but for other countries, mining is impacted, and even for the small scale solutions like cooking is really important for the community people. Consider gender. Like, have we imagined, like, how many people of our country and how many people of the globe are actually relying on the, fuel woods for the cooking, and what are the impacts on it? It's huge. It said that more than, 3 to 4 billion people still, are dependent on the fuel woods. I'm not going to give you the exact number because I don't remember it, but you can have this number, and it's really, number is really high. So, and it actually relates to the, care work burden for the women, because like at the end of the day, cooking and maintaining the household actually goes for them, and they are actually victims of different respiratory diseases because of the fluid kind of cooking solution. So how we transit and how we put them in the discussion so that we have a better solution, like Mr. Navin shared, shifting from the for a better solution for the cooking. So that's really important. In terms of governance, I always say that sense. Like there are multiple kinds of sense, but how could we better sensitize the governance or the people who actually decide for us, the policymakers, the governors who takes care of everything. So when and how should we transit to the renewables? We need to make sense, make with a proper set of evidences and the research that we are presented. It's really important because like we call it evidence-based advocacy. And for that, we need to strive harder to make come up with some more evidence through researches and studies. And that's really important to change the mindset of the governors, to show them the way, actually, because at the end of the day, they are the politicians or the bureaucrats. But as a researcher, we need to show the light, like where should we land and how we can do that with proper statistics. And we have seen good statistics from the researchers to indicate with strong statistical rigor to motivate them to convince them. That's really important. And for the third paper, like I said, industry RNGs, I can share lots of data for the RNG industry, but the industry, the scale of the intervention of the industry to the economy says it all. And there are lots of women working on that. So gender comes in again. So without the RNG, our economy is nothing, I would say. And if you consider the justice part, we should not, in a real sense, like countries like Bangladesh, is not responsible for, in a blatant way, to transit to the renewables, because we are not responsible. We're only 0.45%. But to become a good earthlings, like responsive behavior is needed. That's why I would appreciate many of the conversation and dialogues from the governments, even like we are trying to transition to the renewables, but we are not responsible for the catastrophe that the world has brought. So from that lens, and there are another issue there as well, because like if we don't transit, there might be strong consequences. Like we might lose orders from the international buyers. This is unjustified because like you are the people who actually brought us into these problems. Now you are making us obliged to transit to the renewables, which takes lots of investments, which are not we are in a position to do. That's when we need to navigate different sort of arguments with proper evidences, because you should provide us support like technology transfer and everything so that we can transit to the renewables. And transiting to the renewables is in many ways really important, and I would say better for our economy. Like consider energy security, energy sovereignty. You see the war and you see the lines coming up to office for the energy crisis due to the Iran and USA war. So if you have the nature has given us a lot. So if you can really harness it, then who cares? Like the Hormuz Strait is closed or not. So we must strive to become independent in terms of and that trade and everything. This paper said it all. So we need to strive as a country also to become energy sovereign. It might take time, but we should strive for that. And the fourth one, most interesting, I would say, climate finance, and that actually has staged all the discussions because like historically we are not responsible, and we should not technically transit, but we need climate finance. If we really make us bound that we're not going to place order for the industrial products like RNG products, then we must say, then if finance give us the money so that we can transit to the renewables, because we did not cause the harm to the planet Earth. Provide us the technology so that we can transit right away, because we want it for ourselves as well. So this kind of discussion should be open and conducted always. And I often say that without the proper evidence, then in the negotiation table, it's nothing. Because like put yourself, like say I'm USA, I'm the Donald Trump. So who cares? But there are lots of other leaders of the world who are better sensitized, who have better sense. And if you can place the right set of evidence, then in the negotiation table, you will have something. There are lots of discussion on the transition globally. So we must address this issue from the local scale to that, and we must place our pledges with proper evidences. Then we'll be able to transit to the renewables, which is very much necessary. So I would thank all the presenters, authors, and researchers to present their hard work. I would say hard work to us, so that we were able to learn. Thank you for a wonderful discussion, and thank you for your patience to hear us and to make this event fruitful. Yes, we may become some 3 minutes over, but thank you for certificate. Oh, okay.
Photo session.
There are photo sessions, certificate sessions. So thank you. Okay, so who's gonna do this?
Serially distributed.
So,
you are
okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I would stand up, but okay.
All families.
Okay. So first certification goes to Mr. Naveen Adhikari. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation, and it's my privilege to hand over this certification to you. Thank you. Thank you. So now it's time for Fahima. So thank you for your presentation. Eagerly your mind. So I'm gonna hand over this certificate to you. Thank you. So Mr. Rajiv,
Thanks, sir.
thank you for your presentation. Thank you. I think a digital version of the certificate would be sent to our Chinese friends to China. I have a very good connection and emotion to China and Beijing, so I think you're having very good research over there. And thank you for your presentation. I think the certificate will be sent to you in due course. Thank you for joining us, and we must apologize for the technical glitches that you have that might have given you some sort of difficulties to connect us. Sorry from the organizers. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I think we may adjourn. Okay.
That brings us to the end of Breakout Session 5. On behalf of SIAM, I'd like to warmly thank our chair, Dr. Mohd Imran Hassan, our discussant, Mr. Farhan Khan, and all our presenters for a stimulating discussion on energy security and green growth. We will now break for snacks. Please reconvene at 11:30 a.m. for the plenary session in the auditorium. Thank you.